It's my own wounds, of course. I had many years abuse in my childhood, but at the same time, I was already very curious. When I was 6, 7 years old, I wanted to. My brother played with me and he took his arms around, and there was an unconsciousness game. And I loved falling unconscious. And then it was like when I came out of the unconsciousness, it was like being reborn again. And I wanted to know, it's so pleasant to be in the in-between. What is that? So I was already with 6 years old, busy with wanting to know what is life and death. Yeah, so. And then all my own trauma, of course, also. And especially in the sexual healing field. Yeah, so long years abuse make cellular memory, and it does make symptoms. And I wanted to heal that. And first of all, I found breath work, which I really loved. But what really, really healed me was a committed relationship where I would use the practice of slow sex that I'm also teaching in it. And that really, really healed me also physiologically. And so that's another side of the story. So Osho I met in 1987. But before Osho already, when I was 17, I found books of Mantak Shia, and I explored those, and it was very strong. I imagined the energy flowing this way, and it did. So there was something where I was also very, I found it quite early. And then I traveled to India when I was 21, and the atmosphere in India pulled me so much inside, that I experienced what meditation is. And at that time, Osho was in Oregon. And I had then the vision or the feeling I will meet my master in India. And one thought in me was, it's a pity it's not that guy Osho, because he is in America. Yeah, so. And then I was 25, or 24, I was again in India in search of some palm leaf library. It's a different story. And, and then I had a vision, I have to go to Pune. And I didn't know that Osho was in Pune at that time. Yeah, so when I arrived in Pune, it was like, Osho is here. Yeah? So that was my first meeting with him. And that was quite strong and he never left me ever since. Yeah, so I had already started studying psychology. Apart from many other things, I studied homeopathy, then at university psychology. I worked for the airlines half-time to finance myself. So I had studied palmistry, learning that in India, so I was a lot into studying. But I knew, that the experiential way is what it does for you, not studying with your mind. And that started really to happen with Osho. I had met somebody with whom I had some breathing sessions, and I knew it really worked. But then meeting Osho, it was like my own, love with the breathing technique started, and I was very much supported to be a therapist. And I was like, no, first I want to experience all. But they said, you can experience and at the same time work with people. So that's how it started. No? I had married a Czech man, and we lived together in Germany. We spoke German together. And I had a company in Germany, because I wasn't alone educating mum. I never left fully the therapy work, but sometimes in order for the necessity of feeding us, I also did other work. No? And so my husband at some point took that over. He was very successful. He moved to Czech, to Praha. And then I said, I can move with you if you help me to build up my practice of trauma healing or somatic experiencing there. And he said, no problem. So within 3 months, I had a full practice, because I was the first person who offered somatic experiencing in Czech Republic. Also, the training came 1 year later, and I was invited to be in the staff to assist. So I had a full practice, and I was very happy, and I worked again only with people from 2010 on. I will start with the most important, because I have done a lot of things in my life and I have learned a lot. And I also developed my own approaches. But really the most fundamental one that that goes, it's like an attitude. It's not really a method. It's an understanding of how the nervous system works and how to heal with trauma, which is body oriented, so that all three parts of the brain, the mind, the emotion, and the instinctives, that they connect. And so somatic experiencing has become my central method, but it really consists of, I loved before, still I love to do that, but I also hold meditation retreats. I'm a Tantra master, I'm a Zen master, I worked with koans, with paradox, with meditation, also with Gestalt, because I have the psychological background, and breathing techniques. And I developed aqua floating, which is like deepest relaxation in warm water. And I already brought this trauma-informed elements into my work, but with the finding of this method, somatic experiencing, it just, it was like something so complete that hasn't existed before. And that's why I say it's my central method. But whatever I do, it's like I do a lot of things, but that method always flows into any other technique I use. No? And I love to work with couples also very much. And sexuality, and including all of life's energy. Because for me, it's important not to make a separation, to create a separation between spirituality and ordinary life, but to make one's own life your monastery where you can learn, including your beloved and sex and everything, and your kids. So we don't need to create separations. I really have to again say that, like in individual work, the somatic experiencing is for me the most potent, because what it does, trauma means the loss of connection with the here and now. And somatic experiencing is a method that restores that connection with the here and now, so that the capacity to fully live embodied in your emotion, in the here and now, becomes again available, because trauma makes it smaller and smaller, and that also means we have less capacity to really enjoy life, to be happy, to be healthy. So in terms of individual work, I recommend that. And in terms of working with groups, also I don't recommend one method, but I recommend to work with people who have this trauma-informed background. And it doesn't have to be somatic experiencing, but the knowledge of that, how important repair is, and slowness and connection. This, when somebody knows that, you can teach any method. And I teach many methods, like when I work with groups. I love very much the topic of Trauma Alaska. I love to work with couples in the slow sex, or it's also called conscious love retreats. I love to work with breathing. I love to do women's work. I love to work with intimacy, sexuality, tantra, but not tantra in the way where people are naked and you go for excessive pleasure. No, it's more really like tantra in the way of including all of life to learn from. Now I will say something that is not good for me, because I would love to come back. But I think here in Nesměň, they wouldn't need any group leaders to do groups, because the atmosphere is so homely and it's so heartful. It's like doma je, home is where the heart is, and in Czech it's doma je, I don't know, I forgot the Czech name, but home is where the heart is. And this is the atmosphere that is created in Nesměň. I have seen more posh retreat houses. But what is also nice here, people joining and cleaning and clearing and around the food and having it in the group room. There is so much connection and connectedness happening in the atmosphere that you would not need a group leader here. But I love to come back, so I don't hear this. Yes, Linda.